And to talk to us more about the brand new Ultimate Terminal 3, we have with us Aviatory Indonesia's President Director Ziva Narendra Arifin. Ziva, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me again.
Now, a lot of comments have already been made about the Ultimate Terminal 3. A lot of big head officials are saying it's better than Changi Airport, but people are making fun of this. What's your opinion on this?
I think we've made a huge commitment when we came to build the Terminal 3 Ultimate, and I say that we need not concern whether it's comparable to Changi or maybe Hong Kong or any other airports because we have our own character. Indonesia cannot be compared with Changi because we have our own plus and minuses. We have our own features. Okay. To say that if it's comparable to Changi from the design, architectural, structural point of view, yes, I can say that it's very comparative. But if you talk about any other aspects, such as the supporting facilities, the infrastructure, the traffic movement, and then secondary, tertiary facilities, I think there's still a lot of areas that we can improve in the new terminal.
Right, but I mean, the public, they've on Twitter, they've made comments saying that they shouldn't use the word ultimate, and they've also denounced these comparisons to Changi. Do you think the public opinion is not very good on airports, and will this improve it?
I think that's a two-way street. We need to very much socialize to the public that the intention of building this new terminal is to contain the target of 100 million passengers by 2020. Right. And that if Pak Jokowi's intention is to bring tourism furthermore upscale into Indonesia, this new facility can contain it. Now, from the public's point of view, I think the government also need to take notice that what are we trying to become as an international hub, as the flag hub, as the capital hub of Indonesia in Cengkareng. What sort of airport characters are we trying to become? What we're trying to achieve? Do we want to become like Changi? Do we want to become like JFK? Do we want to be like Hong Kong or what? So I think it's a two-way understanding that needs to be built between the public expectations and the government's intentions.
Okay. Now the question is, you mentioned just now, do we want to be like JFK? Do we want to be like Changi? Now, what do we want to be like, if you want to compare though?
I think Indonesia has its own unique features. As an archipelago, we can become the very first of its character in terms of airport and international hub. We can become a very environmental friendly with sustainable technology that can contain 100 million passengers or more, that can take so many domestic and international airlines, but we uphold the principle of safety and services. Why I say services? Because airport is a public facility. So I think Indonesia can become the very first of its kind. We are very environmental friendly. We can have a diversity of airlines serving the airport, and also we have the public to support the daily movement and so on and so forth, because the stakeholdership is very wide here.
Okay. So you are optimistic with Ultimate Terminal 3, and we had Terminal 1, we had Terminal 2, and what are your thoughts on Terminal 3?
I think, before Terminal 3 Ultimate was established, we already have Terminal 3 to take care of some of the domestic flights. Right. I'm very optimistic that the new terminal can contain all the expected volume flow, but it needs to be met at a higher speed, at a higher rate, with the development of supporting facilities. Like I mentioned before, the traffic movement, and then waste management, people management on the land side, which is where the general public are, and then the air side of people going from the terminal to the aircraft. So the traffic flow inside and outside of the airport, including outside the vicinity of the airport, to include toll roads and then the following future MRT plans, that needs to be accelerated also.
Right. Now, in the past year, there have been some quite bad and embarrassing incidents. For example, Lion Air dropping off passengers at the wrong terminal, and the collision of airplanes, Batik Air. Do you see anything different happening in Ultimate Terminal 3 that will prevent these kinds of incidents from happening?
There's more space for sure. Right. There shouldn't be any precedence or maybe probability that such incident would occur because we have more space now. Not to mention the future plans of having the third runway. But the traffic management does not really rely on technology and space. It relies on human and quality manpower alone. So the BWM and also the government needs to commit into regeneration and education of quality personnel to be met equally, because soon we will have, you know, 5 times more aircraft volume coming in and out.
Now, at the Ultimate Terminal 3, you yourself said that it's not just about infrastructure. Have they kind of improved the human resources side on this new terminal?
Yes, I overheard a discussion yesterday that they are upping the security personnel to include also the supporting services like janitor, small things like security, and then ground assistant personnel, aviation security. They're beefing up the manpower from a quantity point of view. But there are things that you need to also look from the qualitative point of view, and that is training. So if you want to become an international hub comparable to neighboring countries, let's say the 2 regions in Singapore and Australia, you need to look into the qualitative methods.
So apart from quality methods, apart from traffic law, what are the main factors are important or need to be implemented when you want to talk about big airports?
Standardization, and then the consistency of running such standardization, and then we need to have a synergized and streamlined procedures and discipline, basically.
Do you think Indonesia is lacking of that right now, or Terminal 3, Ultimate Terminal 3?
I think we have the chance to achieve that, but there's also the risk of being so overwhelmed with a new facility and something so big. This is the first time Indonesia established such a big facility. I think it's very easy for us to become overwhelmed with the fact that we have a big airport now, but not being met from the software point of view.
Right, and apart from human resources, the Ultimate Terminal 3, they have some very new technology, and let's talk about the technical aspects. For example, they're going to use solar cells for lighting, and the CCTV safety is supposedly quite advanced. They can zoom in when there's unattended baggage, and they go ahead. What's your opinion on these new technology?
I think that's a huge step forward and a very good commitment for the government to pay attention to these small things, but very important. Last I heard, they have a facial recognition system that can detect the passengers. I'm not sure if it's individually or on a random basis, but that technology alone supersedes many of other airports in the world. You know, if you talk about the top 3 airports in Northern America, you know, they're not so much advanced in technology, maybe, but I think these new features, these new tools, we, like I said again, the maintenance and the upgrading of these new tools, because they become obsolete very quick. So who's manning these technology? Who's taking care of them? Do we have enough people to look after them?
Now, the Singapore Changi Airport and Kuala Lumpur Airport has been on the top 10 list for a long time now. Why did it take Indonesia so long to want to compete with them, or actually be on par with them right now?
I think there needs to be a single national mission on how we want to establish the character of our airports, not just Soekarno Hatta, but Ngurah Rai, and then Hussein, all the other airports, every airport. I think we need to have a single and reasonable commitment to really determine what sort of character we want to establish for Indonesia. Once we have a streamlined vision, we have a set of goals, controllable goals, despite the changing of policies and then changing of authorities, we have a long-term goal, which is called the master plan. When you talk about airport master plan, you don't talk about 5-10 years, you talk about 30-50 years. So you look after it for the next generation, regardless of who's taking care of the project, who's leading the project. So I think what Indonesia is, everyone's on the same boat. We should be able not to only be Changi, so to say, but we can become on the top 10 list.
Okay, no, but on a different topic, Indonesia's aviation industry, the FAA status is still Category 2. And they're working to upgrade it to Category 1. Now, is this Terminal 3 a part of it, and will it actually help upgrade?
In a small fraction, yes. I mean, like I said, facilities only play a very small part in terms of the audit parameters of the FAA, the ICAO, and then other international aviation organizations. The items that are still pending under the FAA audit includes the implementation of regulation, and then also on the manpower quality, and then the quality of training, and also administration, which means that there needs to be a lot of homework to be completed from the Department of Transportation and the Director General of Civil Aviation. hence, should worry less about the facilities themselves. The aircrafts are new, the terminals new, you have all new technologies, but the more crucial aspect is the shortage in manpower. And if we upgrade the training standards and then we commit into a betterment of training standards, I'm very sure the audit satisfactory from 2 to 1 can be achieved very quickly.
Right.
All
So,
right,
so, so, so you're saying that the airports, they will not have any effect?
Very small.
Very small.
I would say very small.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your
Okay,
time.
fine.
Thank you very
so
much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.